For most people, they either find wikis fun or a little intimidating just because they're not familiar with what it means. I want to show you that wikis are actually very simple to use and should not be intimidating at all. In fact, they should encourage collaboration, sharing of ideas, and brainstorming. First of all, let's get into one of our wikis. In our current site that we're using as our example, we have a wiki, and it's actually called Training Banter. Now, I purposefully left this exactly as it looks when it's first created. When SharePoint creates a wiki, it has a lot of content already in place to kind of get you started. It starts with the home page, and it's kind of nice because it tells you welcome to your library. It gives you a little bit about what a wiki is. On the left-hand side, you can see links for updated pages, this home page that we're currently looking at, and there's even a help page on how to use the library, including some help on using that wiki syntax. What we have to remember is this is just a web page, and it's edited very similarly to a regular document. It might help if you display the ribbon. By clicking on the Page tab, you can see that you can get into edit mode. Technically, you can even check it out so nobody else can edit it while you are. And you can work with a variety of other things, but primarily getting it into edit mode is the first step. Click on Edit, and now you can edit this like any other document. So let's say that we're going to just customize this, get rid of the default text, and put in something that's more useful. Instead of Welcome to your wiki library, you can click and drag or do whatever it is you normally do to select text. And instead, we'll say, Welcome to Training Banter. And I don't want to spend a lot of time typing, so we'll just make a few more quick changes here that are simply a matter of typing. Basically, I said this is the place for You Got It trainers to voice concerns, talk about experiences, and even ask for advice on everything training. Now, as you can probably see, I have some typos. That's what I do when I type. But don't forget, you not only have the Page tab, you also have a Format Text tab. In the Format Text tab, you can work with things like fonts, bold, italics, colors, alignment. You can even use styles. Since wiki pages really are like other documents, you also have an Insert tab where you can insert different things like tables, pictures, even video and audio. Technically, you can also insert links, but we're going to talk about wiki syntax. It's a little bit better than that. What I wanted to show you is that when I have typos, like this word here, I'm not seeing a red squiggly underline. This is not Microsoft Word, and it doesn't have full word processing capabilities. So it is okay to type significant amounts of content in something like Word and then copy and paste. The clipboard works very well. If you're not going to do that, at least make sure that you proof and double and maybe even triple proof your content so that you make sure it is grammatically correct and doesn't have typographical errors. So I'm just going to go ahead and correct this and type concerns correctly, and then move on to other things that are more specifically about wikis. And that is what you see at the very end of the default text that was sitting here. It's talking about what you can learn about wiki libraries, and it says by clicking how to use this library, and that's in double quotes. How to use this library is a page that we saw the link for on the left-hand side. But this is how you use wiki syntax. If we wanted to create a link for our own page, I just want to show you how easy that is. I'm going to click, press enter just to get us to a new line, and say something like click here to view, and then I'm going to put double square brackets. SharePoint will automatically show you a list of pages that you can click on or access. Currently, in this site, there aren't any additional web pages, but there are lists. So I'm just going to use my down arrow and say I don't want to go to a page, I want to go to a list. When I choose that, it starts to build the syntax for me. Now, because I pressed enter, it closed the double square brackets. That can be a problem. If that happens, you simply need to backspace or put your cursor after the colon. Another method to create links is to use the ribbon. And some people do this. I'm not sure why, because when you're typing, using that nice little quick drop down is always much faster. But if we go up to the ribbon and choose a link, you can choose to insert links not only from within SharePoint, but also from any web address or URL you may have. We're going to go from SharePoint. Now what you'll see is the screen kind of grays, it says working on it, and this of course is taking a lot longer than our nice little drop-down list. But it is a different method, and I wanted to make sure that you saw it. So if we wanted to make sure that people were able to see our calendar, we would simply select the calendar. And you may have to wait a few more seconds for it to go ahead and get you back to your wiki. Now, what I wanted to show you is we could have typed this way faster than that took. The syntax is always double opening and double closing square brackets. If you're referring to an existing page, you simply need to type the name of the page. If you're referring to a list, like calendar or documents or any other types of lists or libraries that you have in SharePoint, you need to type the word list, followed by a colon, and then the name of this list. In this case, it's just called calendar. When you're finished, do the closing double square brackets. Now, as far as the rest of this goes, it's simply a matter of selecting content, pressing your delete key, typing and inserting what you want. This is just like any other type of document. But as a contributor to a wiki, you might be starting with a blank page like this, or you might be coming into pages that others have already edited. Just like editing a document, be respectful. Don't delete content that somebody else put in unless you have a good reason to, and always make sure that your content is of good quality as well. When you're finished editing, you simply need to go back to the Page tab and click Save. It may take a few seconds depending on how much content you've changed. It needs to go through and save everything and publish it. But one of the things that you should always notice is that anything you created as a link now actually shows up as a link. And of course, the true test is to give that a click and make sure that it works. In this case, it does. Wiki syntax has been successful. You can be successful with wikis too. What you now know is that wikis are simply free-form, informal ways to share information. It's good for things like brainstorming, for capturing thoughts, getting collaboration when building policies or statements, or any time you otherwise need to use the power of multiple minds to create or capture content, information, and ideas. The most important thing to remember about wikis, other than just typing and regular formatting, is to use wiki syntax to create links within your posts. You can do that to existing pages, to lists, or even pages that don't exist yet. And of course, you can use the ribbon if you want to create regular hyperlinks to external content on the internet or on your network. Wikis are something in SharePoint that I'm seeing kind of evolve. They've been around for a while. Some companies embrace them immediately, but a majority, in my experience, are kind of hesitant. I think part of the reason is because they're a little afraid of the free-form content. It's not really controlled. So often they'll be used with small teams, with teams of people who know and trust each other, but not necessarily opened where all 10,000 people in a company can come in and edit all of the pages. Regardless of how it's used, if you now have a wiki presented for you, you know that you can be a good contributing member to wikis with quality content and even hyperlinks.